Today, we will be casting the DeWalt versus SOMA match in the semifinals of one of the groups of the ASL qualifiers. Now, if you've been a fan of StarCraft for a long time, you would know that very early on in Korea, there were actually a lot of foreign pros. Even XDS was actually a Star League champion. But as time passed, those pros became less and less existent. Many of them switched over to poker, others moved back home and moved on to other things. And when StarCraft 2 came out especially, there just wasn't a foreign scene in Korea. Now that StarCraft Remastered is out and that the pandemic is done, we have one of the top 2 foreign players, DeWalt, in Korea. He's already made his way through the ASL qualifier bracket. He's now in the semifinals against SOMA. If you're familiar with modern StarCraft 1, SOMA, a top 4 ASL player, easily one of the best modern Zergs in the world, especially dangerous in the early game, very abusive player. DeWalt, an extremely solid Russian player. He's been in Korea for about 4 weeks. I just had dinner with him the other day. And I gotta say, you know, he's been streaming every day. You can check out his Twitch channel at DeWalt TV on Twitch. He's hanging with the very best of the best. 2,700 MMR, crushing it. And so far, he's managed to play very well in this bracket, already defeating Tank. So we're going to hop into this best of 3 with DeWalt versus SOMA and see how far this foreigner can get in the ASL qualifier. We've got SOMA over here in the top left. This is a cross-spawn game with DeWalt here in the bottom right. By the way, if you like seeing content like this casted by me and you want to see more in the future, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel. I got into the YouTube game very late, but I intend to be making content almost daily for this channel. StarCraft 1, StarCraft 2 related, Stormgate, when that eventually comes out, we're going to be going hard into that, as well as just other fun stuff. And if you ever want to see me record this kind of stuff live, you can always join me on my Twitch channel. It's twitch.tv/Tasteless TV. Now on into our game. So we've got DeWalt going up with a pylon over here at the entrance. This is the normal way to play the game, by the way. You guys watch my stream a lot, and there has been a growing amount of people that 2-gate or do some 1-gate builds in their main, but this is basically the proper and probably stronger way to play. The danger here for someone like DeWalt is he's going up against a player who is very abusive against this style of play, whether that's gateway first or forge first or whatever it is. It can be extremely punishing. Now in this game, we've got SOMA going for a very quick pool. It looks like he's going to be having the opportunity to put some pressure on here. And this could actually be just really bad because DeWalt has banked up 400 minerals and is going to make a Nexus outright. This is Nexus on 11. And, you know, the reality is that this will crush you as a Zerg player if you go hatchery first. But you can die to a 9 pool, a 4 pool. Lots of stuff beats this. So DeWalt, you know, basically a bit of a nod there that, you know, he's not confident trying to go head-to-head against SOMA, is banking on the fact that SOMA goes 12 hatchery, which, by the way, SOMA actually does a lot. And an even further risky move here is the fact that he went gateway and not forge. So, you know, this is just really bad. That being said, we got to see, do the Lings actually make it over there? Do they maybe chase this probe instead? I mean, right now, you have to imagine that DeWalt's heart, you know, fell to his stomach here as he saw those Lings coming out. And I don't know, does this just end? I mean, this is looking like it could end up being actually not a very exciting game. The Lings are going to come here, and the Zealot is a little bit under halfway finished. Now, with good positioning, maybe, what is this, about 7 probes, can try to catch the 3 Lings. Keep in mind there's going to be 2 more Lings coming in over here. He's got a battery finishing. This would require pretty intense micro here. Oh my god! He loses 2 probes so far. He does not get the block up. The cannon starts. The 3rd hatchery starts as well over here. Okay, I'm not going to lie. This is bad for DeWalt, but it could have been a lot worse. The question now is how many more probes can he kill? There goes another one. If you can get the Zergling count down to 1, this becomes a lot more manageable, but 2 or 3 is a problem. It does look like Ling speed... well, he's not researching it. And so, are these speedlings? I actually can't tell. Chat? I don't know why I can't tell right now. Now, at this point in time, he's continuing to just try to hit these workers. And again, even if you don't kill the worker, the fact that you have to pull it away, they're not speedlings. I don't know why I'm like, it's like my mind's playing tricks on me here. Thank you, Chad. Morlings are coming down. There is a cannon done. There is a battery here, which means that I can't imagine that Soma's going to try to come in. But there's also the possibility that he uses these 3 lings to then come back around and try to hit the cannon. And so you can see now another kill on the workers. And the problem is we're about to see the Zerg actually surpass the Protoss here on the worker count, which just is not good no matter how you cut it. Now, the truth is DeWalt is kind of paying for, you know, the risks that he took here by, frankly, being a little bit greedy. And, you know, Soma's opening, it's sort of a catch-all opening, including for builds like this. I mean, this will stop cannon rushes or a lot of stuff. Oh, we got an Artosis alert here. Forgot to pause it.
On the bridge.
Yo, thank you for the support, Fishy.
151 just subscribed.
Appreciate the sub there. Thank you for the support. 5 subs from you, Fishy. So generous. Cybernetics core is almost done. He still hasn't killed these 2 lings. Every second a probe isn't mining is bad. It just gets worse and worse here. Back at home, what do we got? Healthy economy, Spire coming. Very standard play. And we can see DeWalt's going to tech into Stargate, which, I mean, this is kind of the normal way to play if you're not really sure what's going on. Interestingly enough, Soma, you know, he went for some aggression early on and punished, but he hasn't tried to double down on it. Instead, he's trusting the fact that DeWalt is going to have to try to defend and basically play a pretty insecure game. My God, another probe goes down. How many kills? 2 and 5. My God. Those are all probes, by the way. Keep in mind there was a 3rd Zergling that had kills, too. I honestly think this game, if it's going to be lost, we could look at all the other situations, but really the only one we'd have to look at would be the fact that he's just continuing to lose workers over and over. Now, DeWalt's sending his 4 zealots out on the map here. This will force Zerglings, which in effect, you know, means that the Zerg isn't making drones, which is kind of what you're trying to go for here. But he's going to try to come up here, maybe try to wedge his way, like behind the minerals, like here. And, you know, the thing about Soma is he's kind of like a little Jaedong Jr. with his link control. Like, he's really very good at taking these tiny engagements. And so he gobbles up those zealots on the map. And, you know, the game goes on. Only, you know, Protoss has a little bit less than you'd even want now. But, you know, what DeWalt is setting up for is basically that old classic Bisu style. Only ideally he would have been in a better economic position had he not been beaten up so hard here, which is +1 ground weapons, +1 air weapons, continuous Corsair production, and eventually he will get the Zealot's speed upgrade to try to come out and put some real pressure here on the map. And so here is the Evo chamber coming down. We're kind of waiting now to see what DeWalt can actually get done. Really, you know, the issue is going to be that with double... You know what's so funny? I thought this was a second gateway because that's what's more common to see down here, not a Stargate. I didn't even realize. My bad, guys. So this is actually not going to be what I was saying. I stand corrected. You know, sometimes you see buildings in certain places, and we do see second gateways made down here a lot, and you just assume that you know what they're, what it is. So this is actually double Stargate Corsair with DT. Apologies, everybody. You know, not a bad idea. It's going to be tough, though. I mean, if, you know, Soma has a pretty buttoned-up base, it's hard to make this really work. So +1 attack is about to finish up here. And, you know, I don't see a commitment to mutas at all. It's just kind of interesting. A lot of times when you see a certain set of Scourge, you're going to have mutas with it. But I guess this is really just a response to the fact that there are so many Corsairs out here now. You know, one danger, though, for the Protoss when you go for a style of play like this is that you don't have Templars out right away. You don't have Psystorm right away. And so sometimes the Hydras just overpower you. So we see the DT coming out here, but, you know, a pretty unconfident DeWalt. He's got 7 Corsairs back, +1 air attack should be done. But, again, a pretty sealed up Soma is... He's not going to really do any damage. He's unable to prevent this 4th base because the DT is out of position. Now, a player like DeWalt in this moment, he knows that he's behind, right? The issue really is just that there's not a lot, you know, you could do. You get beat up early on. You know, it's not automatic that there would be a recovery mechanism in the game, especially when it's simply losing workers over and over. So we're seeing the gateway explosion. DeWalt is on a comfortable amount of probes at 52. He doesn't need to make more workers. But I'm actually more fearful of just the mass Hydras here. I mean, what do we actually have? We have 1 Templar with 76 energy, so that's 1 storm. And, you know, miles away from the 2nd storm. 3 cannons, which is laughable here, as if you're Soma. And the Hydra's beginning to chip away. In fact, he's going to go for a dive here. He baits out the 1st storm and drops about maybe 4 Hydras total. But now, you know, this wall-in, which was meant to keep the Zerglings out, now kind of works in an opposite fashion where the Zealots have a harder time coming out. And you can see here the control from Soma is extremely good. I mean, he's kiting very well. He's going to chip away at whatever, you know, loose end is sticking out over here. In this case, it's the Zealots down here at the bottom. The last cannon goes down. This Templar at 33 energy here. We have more Templars spawning out with energy at about 50 here. That's a pretty long time to gain energy when you're getting hit this hard with Hydralisks. And, I mean, I don't know what to say, man. This is unpowered. We have 2 more cannons making. I don't think that he can really recover here. And, again, it's not so much that the Hydras killed him at the start of the game, sorry, at the end of the game, as much as it is the Lings that killed him there early on and gave him no way to really get out of that. So to kind of recap that really quickly, we had a game where DeWalt did an extremely risky opening. He went Nexus on 11, which is already a very, very risky play. Normally you go Forge after that. He actually went for Gateway after that. So that's even more risky. Soma went for, I think it was Overpool opening here, which is basically the most standard opening that you use nowadays. And one of the benefits of that opening is it stops anybody who tries to do anything too greedy. You don't get a great economy right away, but you're also not in huge trouble. I understand DeWalt's mindset, knowing that Soma tends to go for hatchery on 12 very often, but he was punished pretty badly for that. And when the Lings killed off so many probes, it's just hard to recover. On this intermission, guys, I'm going to show some more merch. If you go to tastelessreds.com, this is a Dota-themed shirt, Silenced. We've also got other cool shirts. This is a bad Tasteless drawing shirt. Tasteless going GG. You can't deny that's Tasteless when you look at him. Look, I mean, which one's Tasteless, which one's the shirt? Who knows? We've got another cool one. 1 HP over here with a heart. We're trying to make cool stuff that you could wear out and about and be proud of. Here's one I think we can all relate to. GG. We've all been there. So go to tastelessthreads.com and check that out. Okay, so we're going to go into game number 2. This is DeWalt versus Soma. DeWalt, a Russian player, now staying here in Korea, trying to achieve his dreams of playing in the ASL. He is in the semifinals up against Soma, a top 4 ASL player. I mean, this may be DeWalt's biggest challenge yet in this qualifier. DeWalt did open up with a risky build. It did backfire. That is, you know, one of the ways you can play StarCraft. But, you know, I'd be curious to see how he would look tested in a more even game here. So Neo Sylph hit a 3-player map. I probably should say 3-player map. It's got 3 spawning locations. I guess technically you could play an FFA with your friends on this map, but you know what I'm saying. So we have DeWalt up here at 12 o'clock. Down here in the bottom right is SOMA. I'm going to be following SOMA a little bit more closely here. I want to see how exactly he opens. We already know DeWalt is going to go for a pylon over here at the natural. And again, I think it's so exciting that we have foreign players, not just competing in the ASL qualifiers, which you can do online, by the way, but actually playing here in Korea, you know, where you can practice with the best players on the ladder, you know, experience the culture. By the way, this is 9-pool speed. I'm sorry, it's not because he cancels, but it's going to be 9-pool extractor trick. Either way, very early pool. This time around, DeWalt is going to be going for an early gateway here. So he's going to be trying to slow drip Zealots out. This is a very active way to play the game. It is, at times, very strong. It can backfire. You know, every Zealot is so precious. And so you really want to try to stay on top of that and make sure that, you know, you don't lose control. And even, you know, from a lot of other players' perspectives, it can seem like the Zerglings are expendable. They're really not. If you don't trade efficiently with the Zerglings, that becomes a problem. A lot of times, that's actually one of the ideas at play here for the Protoss, is to try to look for areas you can get behind, like wedging like in between these minerals here, where the Zerglings have to fight you one by one. And you know, that can be tough to deal with. By the way, pretty early gas actually here for SOMA. So this can really indicate big aggression here from the Zerg. A lot of times the third hatch is made, I guess if you're going to play more standard, the third hatch is made a little bit sooner. Now the probe does scout this, by the way. This is going to force Zealot Forge, and a second Zealot comes out. Can he block the entrance? Oh man, he doesn't get through there. This Zealot's not moving. Comes a second later. And now he's going to go into real pressure. And the idea is that he's probably going to get Zergling speed here, and then just try to overwhelm him. This is a very weak point out here, where the Zealots can get sniped as they pop out. These Zealots will never be as fast as, even Slowlings for that matter, but Speedlings, it gets much worse. So the first cannon is forced over here at the natural. Oh man, this is looking really rough. Speaking from my own experience, this is one of the most frustrating things to play against, is someone who gets inside your base like this. Now the problem is he doesn't have a cannon here. Keep in mind, if he loses the pylon out here at the natural, I mean, will probably just lose this game. He'll be stuck on one base. Lings are continuing to be cranked out. There are no drones being made. This is becoming a very tight game. Again, Zerg needs this to work, but every probe that's killed, it's pretty bad. It's 8 drones to 18 probes. DeWalt is continuing to consistently make probes. The cannon is finished in the main, by the way. I love that I can zoom out and remastered, by the way. But the Lings are going to keep coming. Oh, God, the Zealot needs to get back there. Now, if he can go for the cannon, he can kill him. This might be just too many Lings as it is. Really good surround, really good angling here. He's going to pull up. This may be ill-advised here by SOMA. He's going to try to snipe workers on the outside. I'm going to try to put both of these fights on screen here. The Zealots are beginning to win this fight over here. Dude, actually, this is not bad for DeWalt. This cannon's going to finish. He needs to keep it alive at all costs. And the drones are going to continue to be pumped. So the rush is over. The third hatchery started. And I got to say, kudos to DeWalt here. He survived the early game. I think a lot of players would have died right there. So he's going to try to slowly clean this up. There are enough Lings that you got to be careful to have this area sealed off. But this is actually sealed off. No gas being mined yet from SOMA. So where does he want to take the game? 21 probes to 14. Look, this isn't great for DeWalt, but it's not the end of the world either. His second Nexus is halfway done. He's trading pretty well against these Zerglings. Seems like someone's going to see what he can do to keep these alive, but mini games like this, it's almost like you're trying to just make your player use their APM somewhere so they can try to keep up. And it's just more and more drones. And the Lings harassing, they've gotten a pretty good read. I mean, the fact that they can see, or they could see, I guess it doesn't show up what they had seen in the past, they can see the cybernetics core, means they know exactly the tempo of the tech. Normally, if the Zerglings don't get in there, the Zerg has a good idea anyways of when that's going to be, but the Protoss has gone uninterrupted. When you've interrupted them and you identify where that is, I mean, it might have even been better to just make the core up here. You could create some ambiguity. Not that that's the hardest thing to scout either. We have this Stargate coming down now. Where is the tech for SOMA? He might actually slow tech it, so he's going to go for 5 hatch. We should probably see a layer here next. Maybe a den. And you can see the discomfort here by DeWalt. Keep in mind that DeWalt has basically not been on the map since that first probe. So he doesn't know if it's like 3-hatch Hydra coming. And this is the style of play that SOMA is so good at. Not that he's going for a bunch of hatcheries. It's more complex than that. It's the fact that he just knows what the Protoss is afraid of. And DeWalt knows that SOMA's capable of doing so many cheeses. I mean, for me, the most epic SOMA series for me was SOMA versus Bisu. I can't quite remember which ASL season. I've casted so many of them. Where he barely beat Bisu. And all the games were basically like under 10 minutes. Like crazy short games. But what he's done is he's intimidated DeWalt into making 4 cannons. And the reason why that matters is that, these cannons could have been gateways sooner, but he's more afraid that there's going to be some kind of push. Now, this is crazy. Look at this. Robotics facility. This is not ordinary. This is, we saw ideas like this more commonly like 3 years ago. I mean, we've always seen some type of robo play early on. But the idea is that you're going to go for Reaver. Now, it actually works out very well if they had Hydra pressured you because you get more counterplay. In this case, we have kind of a very passive Zerg style. He does cancel that gateway, by the way. But he's going to go for... Oh, this is so funny to see this. You don't really see this very often. But it is a cool idea. I've actually wondered privately to myself. I don't really muse about this out loud that often. But it does make me wonder, like, could you, go Dragoon range and Reaver like so many other players have done before? We used to see this a lot in the past, but this is kind of a cool idea. If you can get good Reaver pairings, and DeWalt is very good with Reavers. And in this case, it doesn't seem like the Zerg is going to go for mutas. We don't see a muted tech. Maybe he can actually win this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 gates. +1 attack. Shuttle speed started. This is very cool. The question I've got is what is... Oops. Wrong. Okay, I wish it would just show what they've actually seen here. I wish Blizzard would fix that, because a lot of players in the past have actually gone for shuttle speed into zealot speed, which is another kind of funny way to play, where you kind of surprise them with a Reaver and then you tech right out normally. This is a very different style. We've talked a lot in the past, Artosis and me, about the experimentation of mech versus Zerg. We know you have to do that versus Terran, but there was also this whole period. So good. He's broing. He knows exactly what to do. This whole period of speculation of, is it better to just go Dragoon Reaver like you do PvP instead of going for Zealot speed with Templars later on? I mean, we're talking about the first 3-4 years of the game, right? But you did see these ideas at play where it's like, I don't know. I mean, isn't a Reaver kind of like a Templar, and can a Dragoon kind of function like a Zealot? I think now we all agree, basically, the better way to play is probably to just go for, you know, Zealot, Templar, and tech into Dragoons later on, Reaver late game. But look, Dualt got beat up in this game, and, you know, he has to come out here with something surprising. Sometimes the alternative tech can be better just because they're not in the right place to deal with it. So we're having more and more Hydras get made. Now, the truth is, and this is the indicator right here that Soma's comfortable, is he knows that Burrow punishes Reaver. Because then the shuttle doesn't know if it's being spotted or not. Like, he literally can't move through this area. This is, like, so perfectly laid out. There's no way to sneak the shuttle in. He's going to see the Reavers coming out. He has a third Reaver being made. Shuttle speed's done, so it's very microable. The one thing about Burrow, though, is it doesn't help against a push, right? If you were just dropping all day, that'd be a different story. So he's coming. He's using the Corsair to basically spot for a flank, which doesn't seem like it's coming. Although I think it's naturally going to come because he's going to have to push. Probably to the natural. You want to push the easiest spot. Oh, hold on, hold on. Big Burrow here. Almost didn't see this. Oh, no. Oh, the Observer's going to see it. Oh, and these Hydras are actually getting wrecked over here. The Dragoons are going to continue to do so much damage. Unloading these Reavers now. The Reavers are in a very good spot. In fact, they're going untouched. The Dragoons are tanking pretty well. Mutas are hatching. The Reavers are mostly kind of doubling up their damage. Over here on the side, they're going to get... Oh, my God. They get sniped. But I think even without that perfect snipe, that was crazy. And so now he's going to go ahead and back up. And so now you can see this is basically where Protoss is screwed here. You don't have the right tech. And so, I mean, can you recover from here? I mean, I don't think so, right? It looks like he has everything that you need to basically be dealt with here, right? Like, this is... There's really no way, I think, for Protoss to recover. I mean, yes, he did chase away the Hydras, he did chase away the Mutas, but the engine's going now for Zerg. The engine is pumping. Hydras, Mutas are going to be coming out. This hatchery down here is finishing up. And there's no third base. And one thing about Dragoon Reavers, it's kind of hard to tech out of, if that makes sense. And so he does drive him back. But again, how do you get that next leg up? That is the question. I think you almost don't even want to try to take a third base, as weird as that sounds, but instead try to double down on forcing something. So he's going to come in here now. And slowly get pushed back. The thing is, though, I feel like if you look at this, Soma kind of knows he's won the game, right? So at this point in time, all you want to do is actually not fully engage him. You just keep powering up. Dualt's at 127 supply. Soma is at 116. And, you know, you could say the supplies are kind of even, but when Zerg gets this high up, it's kind of a problem. Not enough mutas to just snipe, you know, the Corsairs. And I guess the Corsairs are kind of keeping the Zerg honest here. You can't snipe the shuttle, because the Corsairs could basically gun you down. But this is kind of now or never here. And we're going to see this engagement come down here. It looks like he might want to try to go for the Reaver. And so that's going to be cleaned up. One Reaver goes down. It's really all about keeping that Reaver alive. He does pull this back. He is keeping this in a fairly safe spot. And again, the Protoss retreats. We're probably going to have a 5th base here soon. It's funny. You can see the Dragoon Reaver. It is strong, right? Especially if the Reavers are not picked off. But the problem is that while Zerg is able to grow and flourish on the map, the Protoss really is not. So we're going to finally see, it looks like a base try to be taken here. And I think this is the cue Soma is waiting for. I think he was waiting for that moment. I know it sounds crazy, but 1 extra Nexus, that's 2 Dragoons, which could be just that extra tanking damage to cover for the Reavers to maybe win the game. In fact, maybe he didn't want to expand anyways. Maybe he mixed a pylon here to kind of generate that imagery. Okay. So he fires those Scarabs. The Riders are coming around here. How much more could the Dragoons really tank here? The Mutas are targeting the Reavers. You know, the Reaver is actually kind of doing okay. Kind of misses the pickup opportunity there. Thins this number out. But as we get the Dragoon count to about 7 here, I just don't imagine how you can try to fight this endless onslaught of Hydras. I think we're basically here at the end of this game. And so that's going to be it. GG. Taps out. And I got to say, that was actually a really interesting game. There were some themes there that were similar in the first game we saw in the second one where, you know, if Lings get in your base early and the Zerg player is good at controlling those Lings, it's really hard to actually come out ahead. If you're losing probes over and over again, you know, what are you going to do, especially against a Zerg like Soma? And the thing with Soma, too, is that he knows when to send Lings in, but he also knows when to just stop making Lings entirely and crank out a bunch of drones. And that's what happened back there. I think DeWalt's decision, though, to go and try to do a pretty alternative tech path where you go for Mass Dragoons and Shuttle Reaver was pretty interesting. But a player like Soma is going to know how to deal with that. And so that's going to be it for the games here today, guys. But DeWalt almost getting to qualify for the ASL on day 1 of the qualifiers. Crazy stuff, exciting times. I do like seeing that StarCraft 1 specifically, is becoming more and more global. And we're having more and more of the very, very best players come down here and try to compete in the biggest StarCraft 1 tournament in the world, the ASL. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Again, I hope you subscribe to the channel and check out my merch at tastelessthreads.com. I will see you in a future video. Bye-bye.